Hi, your friendly neighborhood BS on Blast here to give you a recap for day 36. Yes, post-military coup in Sudan on this Monday, November 29th. If you missed yesterday's recaps on the page, go watch it. Let's get into it. Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is November 30th. It is the 6th round of nationwide mass demonstrations calling for the end of military rule and rejecting the agreement signed between Prime Minister Hamdok and the military. In Khartoum, the demonstrations are planned to head to the presidential palace. We'll see how that pans out. In other news, coup authorities have released Anti-Corruption Committee spokesperson Wajdi Saleh, ex-Sovereignty Council member Mohammed al-Faqih, and Forces of Freedom and Change spokesperson Jafar Hassan. There is no confirmation, however, on the handful of activists in Zarinje, Central Darfur, who are still, as far as we know, detained, as well as a number of others in other parts of the Darfur states. In other news, a Radio Dabanga article today outlined an interview with journalist Faiz Silek, who was arrested by coup authorities on October 26th, so the day after the coup, for criticizing what happened on international media. In his interview, he tells Radio Dabanga that 15 out of the 32 days he spent in unlawful detention were in solitary confinement. He was, quote, cut off from the world. He said that he was not beaten or questioned throughout his 32 days of detention. And when he was released, no charges were brought up against him, but he was only released after he and other detainees went on hunger strike. And I think we talked about the hunger strike in a previous recap. This is, of course, in stark contrast to journalist Ali Farsab, who was not detained for a long time, but was verbally assaulted by police and severely beaten upon his arrest, all while having sustained a gunshot wound during the November 17th protests where he was arrested. And in his subsequent statement after his release, he said that he was thrown in his jail cell with other protesters who were also injured, and none of them received medical care. The Ali Farsab could only receive medical care after he was released. Just to give you a little insight into the brutality that people have suffered over the last month or so. In my opinion, really weird move, and a little bit of shade. The office of the Prime Minister's official Twitter account posted quotes today from his November 24th interview with a Sudanese TV channel called Sudanese 24, S24. In this interview, on November 24th, I'm confused why it's being posted, these quotes are being posted now, considering that was 5 days ago, but anyway. In this interview, he, and the posts that they shared, I think it was 4 or 5 of them, basically, it's him talking about how the country was on a precipice and insinuating that the agreement that he signed was to prevent Sudan from suffering the same, quote, fate that other countries in the region are currently suffering. I'm assuming he's referring to Ethiopia with the current armed conflict, but there's that. The post also communicated the importance of having, quote, open hearts during this period and accepting differing opinions to avoid rigidity and the lack of compromise. Personally, I interpreted this and the next quote. Actually, let me read the next quote for you before I tell you my interpretation. So the Prime Minister was also quoted saying that democracy is learned through practice, and that all the powers he mentions the resistance committees and the signees of the agreement, etc., need to, quote, create an environment that will no longer allow for any unlawful arrest or any attack on protesters. Not sure who this last one is addressing. Is it the people on the streets? Because they're not doing anything to not allow for that environment to flourish. But okay. Anyway, my interpretation of this is low-key him trying to, or his office sending a message to people going out tomorrow that, like, come on, guys, yeah, you don't agree with the agreement, but it's for your own good, and, you know, let's just hug it out or talk it out or whatever. I feel like there's like there's a reason why these quotes and these posts were released today as opposed to on the 24th itself after his interview was aired, or on the 25th or the 26th. So, anyway, that's your recap for today. I'm thinking of people in Sudan tomorrow. Hopefully, this sixth round of mass demonstrations will be one of triumph and victory and echo the loud and unwavering voices of our people, and hopefully also it will not be a day of harm or attack or violation on any of those people taking the streets tomorrow.